Another day, another show in the life of Tottenham Hotspurs. I'm Sam Spurs for Life. This is Paxton Road TV, and we are Talking Points episode number 115. This is it. Are we in a fight for Dragunsin? As we all know, we are clearly in the market for a centre back. We've actually signed Timo Werner. With me in the house to talk about all such things. Because there's a few things to talk about. Is my main sidekick, the main kick side, the man himself, Sid Spurs. All right.
Afternoon.
How's it going?
Yeah, all good. Switched off all my phones, all my social media stuff because it's rinse and repeat. He's coming. He's signed. We're in the race. We're front runners. He's coming over. He's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming. I'm waiting for that to come now, but let's see what happens.
Before we get into it then, people, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, comment in the comment section, share everything around PRTvSpurs, Paxton Road TV, all kinds of names are under. I know there's a few people watching already. David from Leicester, Mr. Clark. Hi from Leicester. I hope everyone is in the chat as well. We are good so far. Let's talk, Sid. Well, let's talk about what's actually happened. By the way, is the sound all right? It's not too loud, not too
Sound
quiet.
is good. Sound is good.
Very good.
What's the title then? Put the title on. Just to remind everyone.
I'll do that. Let me try and find it again. Here we go.
Look, man can't even spell the guy's name, you know.
Dragunsin. I thought it was Dragunsin. It's not Dragunsin.
No, it's Dragunsin.
Dragunsin. You know what?
Yeah.
Do you know why? I couldn't even be bothered to go into the research because, you know, until they actually do that thing, Sid, where we've talked about before, where it's actually done. And this kind of leads me into the Timo Werner thing. Before we get into the Dragunsin, whatever you want to call him, how you want to call him, let's talk about what we've actually done. So we've had a number of players come back off loan. Yeah. Region's back. Jed Spence's back. Who else has come back? Anybody else? Scarlett back.
Scarlett.
We've seen Scarlett in the squad, blah, blah, blah. So
Scarlett played the other day against Burnley.
Yeah. So we've got players back in contention, exactly what we need at this time of the year. Ryan Sessegnon looks like he's back fit. Whether that's a good thing or not, we'll see. But, you know, at least we've got bodies. So, again, the Timo Werner deal. Talk to me about Timo Werner, because I ain't going to lie to you. It makes sense from a business perspective. It makes sense from a short-term loan. It fits, I guess, the profile in terms of what Postecoglou is looking for. But there's a big but. The big but for me is it's Chelsea days. That's what you've got to think. I remember being on many streams. I remember talking to many Chelsea fans and clowning them about Timo Werner. All you got to do is put Timo Werner misses on YouTube, and it comes up with some great compilations. Now, I ain't gonna be here. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, Timo Werner. Oh, I didn't mean any of that. He was brilliant for Chelsea. He wasn't." But if you look at his numbers in just stark contrast, he's about a 1 in 3 person over his career. He's got a lot of pace. He's got a lot of attributes. But we've already got a lot of players like that already, Sid. A lot of pace, a lot of attributes. Brennan Johnson being one, Richarlison being another. They're very frustrating in terms of cold calculated finishes. However, Johnson's 22. Richarlison's what, 26, 25, 26?
26.
Something like that. Timo Werner's 27, will be 28 by the time the summer comes. Is this a good deal for us? Is it something that you expected? It went under the radar. Talk to me about how Postecoglou must have just said, yeah, I'll agree to that. How do you think this all came about with Timo Werner before we go on to Dragunsin?
I think Timo Werner's obviously been scouted around. He's not been happy at Leipzig. His return back to Leipzig hasn't happened. He's not getting into the team. Whatever reasons they've got there, we don't know. Maybe they've got someone better, maybe someone more prolific, maybe someone scoring more goals. We don't know. We don't know the ins and outs. We will never know the ins and outs. In terms of coming to Spurs, I think you've got that situation where in January, hand on heart, Sam, and everybody else in the comment section, it's a very difficult window to try and get somebody in. or even a striker, because all the strikers are at clubs where they're either doing well or the clubs are not willing to sell. Osimhen, for example, 100 million plus, right? Tony, 100 million. Man's not even played for 6 months and 100 million they want for him. Then you've got that other side where teams are not going to be willing to sell players to other teams because it just puts them in a better position. So for me, we all ridiculed Timo Werner at Chelsea, and everybody did. But then what you've got to look at is how many players have been ridiculed at Chelsea. Lukaku, Crespo, Torres, Mo Salah, you can put him in that as well. How many players then have gone on?
You could even put De Bruyne in there if you really want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How many players then have left, them strikers that have gone on to do better things, to score goals? I know we're all slagging Werner off, but his record at Chelsea, 89 appearances, 23 goals and 21 assists. That's not bad, right?
Goal contribution every 2 games, roughly.
Exactly. And obviously, they've not put his misses in there, but it is what it is. And he's moved on from there. Yes, certain players, when they leave certain clubs, the tag sticks with them. For me, what you've got to look at is the January window. We've just lost Son. We've lost Papasart. We've lost Bissouma, right? Son is going to be a massive, massive loss for us because obviously people getting on his case. But man scores goals, man assists. We needed someone to come in because I was at that Burnley game and Brennan Johnson on the left, they just did not look comfortable at all. At all. So Postecoglou, obviously, he's looked at it. They've realised that Werner's available. They've looked at other deals and they probably thought, well, we're not going to get a striker now. So 6 months free. We've just got to pay his wages. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's a no-brainer because we're not paying any fee. We're not paying a transfer fee. We're getting him on loan for 6 months with the option to buy for 15 to 20 million if he does well. Now, I was talking to a gooner yesterday, and he's one of these clued-on gooners, yeah? He doesn't sit there with his red top on. He looks at it from every single aspect, angle, perspective. Yes, he said, what are you lot doing buying Werner? He said, look at all the misses, blah, blah, blah. And then I sent him the stats, and his reply was, he is a good player, and he goes, he'll probably do well for you lot. And I said, exactly. I trust my manager. Postecoglou's got a plan. He knows what he wants. And if he wants Werner for 6 months on a loan, I'm happy with that. And apparently it took Werner, 2 minutes to say yeah? So when have we ever had a player, apart from Maddison and Van der Ven, obviously, 2 minutes to say yeah? So Werner could have turned it down. Werner could have said, no, I don't want to go to Tottenham because of my Chelsea links, blah, blah, blah. He's probably looked at the manager. He's probably looked at the way Spurs are playing. And he's probably thought, do you know what? This is my play. This is where I'm going to slot right in. I think it's a no-brainer for 6 months.
Yeah. So you said a lot there, and that's good because there's a lot to kind of unpack with the Werner deal. So you're right in what you said earlier. January is a very tough market. It's going to be hard to bring in any top-class striker because of the fact that, if you're going to bring in a top-class striker, they're probably going to be playing for a top-class team or in a top-class competition, i.e. Champions League, or they're doing well with the team. The fact that he's been sitting on the bench at Leipzig does concern me. Leipzig was his team that he'd come from initially to Chelsea and then he's gone back to, but he's on the bench. His record at Leipzig was pretty good. I'll bring it up in a little while afterwards and I'll chat about it. But I just think with this Werner deal, it is a short-term one. We have to look at it like that. And yes, he does provide us with options. But it's a frustration part of it for me because now it's clear that some of the players that we've already got in the squad aren't going to be good enough. I know that Werner's got that pace, but he's not a Son replacement. He's not going to do what Son does. If we're honest with you, Son is clinical. Son's actual shooting accuracy, although he doesn't shoot as much as someone like Mo Salah, but his conversion rate is excellent. just need to look at the numbers. Timo Werner's not so good. Richarlison, not so good. We can add Brennan Johnson, not so good. Although Brennan Johnson, for me, is definitely 22 years old and got a lot of potential. And he actually has contributed. But you know, as well as I do, and you probably will know so more from the Burnley game, that it's very frustrating to watch someone like Brennan Johnson in front of goal or in the final third because of the decision-making. That's what I attribute to Timo Werner. In the final third, that last little bit, the most important bit as a forward, if you're in the position, is to either create a chance or to score, take a chance. His numbers suggest that he can do both, but not prolifically. Are we going to suffer slightly because of that fact that... all right, okay. I go back to the Arsenal game against Liverpool. They had loads and loads and loads of chances. What are Arsenal missing? A clinical finisher. Our clinical finisher has now gone to the Asian Cup. We don't have that in our depth of our squad at this moment in time. We're going to have to rely on goals from all over the place to be able to maintain these victories. But the other thing that I wanted to add to it is, if Postecoglou has said yes, he sees something and he has improved players so far in this squad. You can look at Ben Davies, you can look at Emerson Royal, you can look at Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie, you can look at the midfield. If you even want to look at Skip and Højbjerg, Skip and Højbjerg are not playing their roles every single week, but they're coming on and doing jobs. So I think that this thing about Postecoglou, his man management style is brilliant. So I'm hoping that he can coach this guy. Because if we can get 1 in 2 goal contributions from Timo Werner, that's good. That's probably as good as we're going to get. Sons is what, scored 12 goals. Was it 5 assists or something like that in the Premier League in 20 games? So that's almost like a goal contribution every game, almost. Something like that anyway. You might want to look that up. But what I'm trying to say is we have to be in a position where we take our chances in games because we've got some big games coming up. You know, that one against Man United on Sunday, away from home, I don't know how it's going to go. Man United could come out and attack us. Brilliant for us. They could try and play a bit more reserved. Bit more of a low block. Is Timo Werner going to unlock defenses? That's my point. Are we going to see the best of Timo Werner when we play against a team, let's say a Crystal Palace, who don't give you that space in behind? Does Timo Werner bring anything different, Sid, that we've already got? I don't know.
He's got 12 and 5. So, like, January, like I said to you, right, it's a very difficult month to try and get anybody in, especially a striker, because you're already midway through the season and a lot of clubs are going to be very reluctant to sell players. Werner is probably what we probably would have been able to get. I heard Man United were after him, so we've gazumped Man United, right? I still think for 6 months and in the January window, it's a gamble, right? And also, Jay Ashraf was saying something about, is it Saha Nelson type of signing? Do you know what? It's January window, right? Who else was there available? Postecoglou's realized that I need to get someone in. Simple as. If Werner delivers, like he did at Leipzig at the beginning, yeah, we're on to a winner. Chelsea, I still think he done all right, but people always remember the misses, no matter what, right? Players change. I know, and they always say you should never go back to the same club once you've been there once, because people are going to be expecting the same. So his second return back to Leipzig has not gone too well, so people are now saying blah, 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 blah. Not every player who goes back to a return to a club does really, really well. So I honestly think you've got a manager in Postecoglou, and like you said, he's improved a lot of players. He's put the belief back in players. He's told players, this is how I want you to go and play. He doesn't change that. He plays the way he wants to play, and everybody's got to adapt to it and change to it, and they're all doing it, and they're all loving it. And you named all them players. I think if everyone puts that to their side, forgets about what Werner done at Chelsea, how many misses he's done, right? We've got to give him a clean slate, because if we're going to start slagging him off straight away from the offset, even before he's not even signed yet, right? I know they said it's all done. He's come from medical this week. He should be done for Sunday's game. You've got to forget that past and just rely now on Postecoglou bringing the best out of him. It's only 6 months. I'm sure Postecoglou's got a plan for the summer. He obviously is going to go for a striker in the summer, because then Richarlison rumours to Saudi are still resurfacing again in the summer. So, so I think for a quick fix, it's not a bad. It's a no-brainer for me. Long term, it's one of them, isn't it? It all depends on how he fares in the next 6 months for Spurs, how well he does. Even then, if he does well, I still think Postecoglou, if somebody that he wants as a striker, out-and-out main striker next season, he'll go out all hell loose to go and get the striker that he wants. But it's 6 months, mate. It's a loan. And at the end of the day, if it works, it works. It doesn't, we send him packing. Simple as. It's an extra piece of ammunition that we've got that we didn't have before Son went. Son's gone. Yes, he's not the levels of Son at all. But we've got other players scoring goals as well. So as much as we'll miss Son, if he can come in and contribute, and I think that's what Postecoglou is looking at. He's not expecting him to score 25 goals while Son's away. He's expecting him to score goals, create goal, and blend in with that team and get everybody involved. And I think if he can do that, I think Postecoglou will be happy.
Yeah. Again, a lot of what you said makes sense. And I'm okay. Let me just reiterate. I'm not against the deal per se. I'm not against it because I understand about the market in January. I understand that we are struggling for forward players that are available, if you're honest with you. Mana Solomon possibly could be coming back soon, but not ready and available yet. Brian Hill, 15-year-old playing man's football. He's not the solution for me. He's probably better off playing in Spain. I just don't think he's a Premier League player. Who else have we got on the fringes? Perisic. Perisic is not going to play for the rest of the season. Sessegnon, the jury's out on him. I think he should be sold. So Kulusevski, again, he probably plays his best football. I don't know now because let me just go back, retrack it. So does Timo Werner get in our starting lineup now? I think the answer to that is yes. Where does he get in? In my opinion, I think he gets in on that left-hand side to replace Johnson, so Johnson can go on the right, and then Kulusevski for me then becomes a number 10 or number 8 or whatever you want to call it in one of those two positions in the midfield, and then you'll have someone behind him. That's how I see it going for the next few games if we can get Werner signed up. Okay. Then what? Like I said, I think what we've got then is a situation where we haven't got much after that because there's no Son, obviously. That's going to be till early February. So we're going to have to maybe limp through a few games. Now, I'm looking at the games that we might have to get through. I say limp through. What I mean by that is we're not at our strongest. We have got players coming back. Maddison should be back in the next few weeks, but he's not back yet. Ben Davies is out, so we've got to bring Van der Ven in straight away. Probably not ideal, but it looks like he's probably fit enough and he's going to have to start anyway. But still, in recent times, it hasn't so much been the defence that's been the major problem. Obviously, in the 4 wins in 5 in the Prem, it's us finishing and taking our chances. It's been very frustrating. That Burnley game was a prime example of that. And again, we've had other games this season in the last few weeks, which has kind of proven that we do need a goal scorer. But you're not going to get that till the summer. So I understand and I've got that. I'm just hoping now that Postecoglou can improve the finishing of these players. Now, Alan Shearer said, and lots of people have said this, goal scoring is the hardest thing to do in football. And I totally agree because you have to be a certain type of mindset to put the ball in the back of the net consistently. Anybody can do it without pressure, but doing it under pressure in a situation where you might only get 2 or 3 chances, that's the key to it. None of our strikers at this current time are that. They're not just like, get one chance, bam, it's a goal. Very rarely. But we are going to need to take our chances. I think with Werner, we're going to create more, and he will probably create more. So the more chances you have, the more shots you get, the more goals you'd probably like to score. So I think that's probably it. The volume of chances we're going to create is probably going to be more because Gil's not going to do that for you. Gill's a bit busy, but he's not gonna create those. My only issue is the teams that we're going to be coming up in the next few weeks. Let me tell you what they are.
Man United, we've got City in the Cup, we've got Brentford, Everton.
So the next two games, Man United and Man City, I think they'll be very open attacking games. I can't see Man United. I can't say I've seen them do it, but Man United need to play on the front foot at home because their crowd are already up on the edge of madness and anger and whatever. So I think Man United will come for us, but they're also aware that we can catch them on the break. So it's going to be a very intriguing game. The Man City game, Saturday the 27th, that could be anything. I don't know what that will be. The Brentford game, the Everton game, those two games after that, I can see low blocks being put in place, and then we're going to have to break those teams down. The Everton game is what? Early Feb? We maybe have more players coming back by then. So again, it's getting through those next couple of games, and I think we've got enough in a sense to maybe increase our output in chances created. We just got to take a few more of them chances, and I think we'll do all right. The Man United game, massive game for us. If we get 3 points from that, that keeps us well within the race. Right, but if you had a choice between getting a centre back or Timo Werner, which is what we've got at the moment. We've got Timo Werner. If we don't get a centre-back by the time is needed for the game on Sunday, I don't give a toss that we've got Timo Werner, in my opinion. I don't, because Ben Davies is now injured. Is that confirmed that he's not going to be available for the next few
I've
weeks?
not heard anything. I've not heard anything
officially, but I heard there was a possibility of a hamstring. Sid, have we missed a trick if we don't get a defender? Because Dragunsin is what we've been chasing since even before the window opened. I've heard that he was on the radar. There was that, what's his name? There was the other one. Tapsoba. But again, the Timo Werner came out of left field. Are Spurs doing a kind of like smoke screen sort of thing and Dragunsin, or is it that we just haven't been able to get the deal across the line? And if so, why? Because Postecoglou's clearly stated he needs a central defender, and we need one in for Sunday.
Do you know what? Werner is an additional bonus, right? Because he's free. We've not paid anything for him. So that, I think, is an additional bonus. I mean, Dybala's available, £15 million get out clause. Could have gone for him. But again, guy's got Prem experience. He's probably looked at that. It's free, basically. It's free, so it doesn't cost us anything. Centre-back thing is still going on. I think Postecoglou's main objective this window was to get a centre-back in. It probably, I don't know. It will happen. It may not happen. We don't know. I'm not even going to speculate on this. What's his name? Dragunsin guy at the moment, because there's so much shit going around on social media. It's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We don't know. So until the famous saying is that Hotspur way, and holding that shirt up is when I will believe. I've last I've heard today, even Sky now have reported it's almost done. Blah blah blah. I still don't believe. Bid accepted for Dragunsin. Until he's holding that shirt up and at the Hotspur way, I will believe. But going back to your question, I think Werner's the additional one. I don't think Postecoglou was probably looking, or he probably was, but when he came up, he's probably thought, free, I'll take him, Premier League experience. Forget that now. Let's concentrate on my centre-backs. And I think his main priority has always been a centre-back. Midfield, I don't think so, because he knows Maddison's coming back now. Lo Celso's fit. He's got Bentancur back fit. Yes, we're going to miss Basuma and Saw. Who knows? We might even, because with Højbjerg, we don't know what's going on with that. Skip again on Sunday against Burnley. Friday didn't look like he's going to be a Prem player for me. Well, not a top 6-8 player.
Who's that?
Skip.
No, he's not.
No, right. Even Sean now is sort of starting to admit to it as well now that he's not the levels. So there you go. So I think centre-back will probably happen. Who comes in, I don't know. Until then, I'll just carry on and just wait. And just hope we get our centre back in. But priority is centre back, I think.
I think we need more players in. Okay, well, I think we need more than what we are going to get in January. But I know that January is not going to give us what we had. We've had probably 2 starters from our midfield who have now gone, Bissouma and Sarr. Sarr being, I think, the key in that, because Sarr seems to be able to play well without Bissouma, but Bissouma, in my opinion, doesn't seem to play well without Sarr. Sarr's that almost like that link between, you know, box to box, and also being able to cover for players in certain areas. So he gives us a lot more than what we probably actually appreciate. But I also think we can probably get away with it to a degree. And I say get away with it, it shouldn't be the phrase to use, but we are going to need to get away with it for a while, because we've now got Bentancur back. Keep him fit. That number 6 position where he's playing is locked down until we have to have competition in terms of Bissouma percentage. Because I don't think Højbjerg's competition for Bentancur in that position. He could probably play a game for him, or he could come on when Bentancur's tired because he's only just come back from injury, but he's not his replacement. But that's the only position. I say only position.
Højbjerg goes. If Juventus put a bid in, I think Højbjerg goes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm not. I was all right with the centre back. Now you've said that, and now I'm thinking about it. It's still teetering, because if he does go and they allow him to go, then we are got a little bit of a problem. We have got a problem midfield, in my opinion, because Skip isn't the one. Bentancur's only just come back from injury. We can't expect him to just run the show straight off the bat, although he looks like he can do. But again, we can't push him too much, as in, right, you got to do this Man United, and then we got City next. You know what I mean? There's 2 massive games for us. So you want to be able to bring him in. Yeah.
But the thing is, Sam, the other thing, right, is maybe there might be some people saying no chance, not going to happen. But this Conor Gallagher rumor keeps coming back. Now, Pochettino said the other day he's not ruling anything out about Conor Gallagher leaving in this window. So Pochettino's now said that as well. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that one, because I can see Juventus coming in for Højbjerg and Postecoglou saying, do you know what, let's take it, and then going for Gallagher and getting him last. Maybe that probably go all the way to the end, a Harry Redknapp special, because Pochettino's turned around. If Pochettino's turned around and said, I'm not guaranteeing he's going to be here in January, there's no guarantees, something's brewing there as well. So I think with Conor Gallagher, it's a watch this space. But in terms of Højbjerg, like you said, him and Skip, I know we've got to deal with them too until Bissouma comes back. But even then, you know, with Bissouma, I'm not thinking he's guaranteed to start, because when Maddison, Bentancur, Papa Sarr are all available at the same time, I think Bissouma's going to struggle to come in, you know.
I think you're right. Again, I think if you ask me, if you get Bissouma in that midfield, I think it gives you a lot, because he can carry the ball, he can break the press, he's a talented player. Let's not get it twisted. He's a talented player, but he doesn't bring you a lot in terms of goal threat, because he don't really shoot, does he?
No.
I don't see how many. I don't recall him assisting that much. I don't know what his numbers are in terms of that. So what Bissouma brings you is kind of like not stat related. You could kind of look at different stats in terms of progressive passes or whatever it is, forward passes, all them sort of things. But the stats that really matter for me in terms of a midfielder is how many times you can break them lines, get into that final third, create chances, or get people into position which they can create by breaking the lines, by playing a ball that's gonna, you know, not turning back and then playing it again sideways. Bentancur gives us that, but again, I don't know what his numbers are in terms of, you know, goals, assists, which is not very high. But we are going to need more from our midfielders. Hence the reason why I think the Kulusevski thing going into that area, possibly when Maddison comes back, you might see them 2 play. But there's a big bit of competition now with Lo Celso, so that's good from us from that position there. And I think even if you got rid of Højbjerg, you've got Bentancur and Skip, who's probably a at least a C rating in terms of the comparison to Bentancur. But still, he's played for Spurs. He's a Spurs player, blah, blah, blah. So I expect him to give everything. I just need them to continue with this trajectory of being improved. Porro, for me, is majorly improved. But that could only be down to him as a player because his attitude, but also to Postecoglou. So why not? Why can't we see this with other players? The other thing I just wanted to add is we now know that some of our defenders that are there or players that are on the fringes aren't going to play anymore. Dorrington, I don't think he's going to play. Phillips has now gone on loan, so he's not ready. Looks like he's not ready. We've already talked about Sessegnon. We've already talked about, I guess, players like Royal, although he's doing a good job now. Have we got enough, Sid, in the other areas, even if we got this centre-back, to continue on with what we're doing this season? Yes,
purely because whoever is on his radar, Postecoglou's, he ain't getting nobody in January. The players, the caliber of players that he probably wants to take Spurs further, in his opinion, right? I don't think there is anybody in this January window.
So this Conor Gallagher thing, that would, you know what? Sorry to interrupt you. Conor Gallagher, if we get him, and we've got a centre back, and we've also got Werner, I'd say that's a bloody good January. Even though it might not be players that everybody thinks, oh well, it's Conor Gallagher, it's Timo Werner, it's this we'd have heard of him. For what we need, you're getting players that fit the profile of what we need, and that would be brilliant, in my opinion.
And what you've got to remember as well is you've got to look at players that fit Postecoglou's system. It's not about getting this player in, get that player in. Yes, Chiesa's, like Davy Clark's going in capital letters. People like that, yes, they're available, but Postecoglou might think, you know what, they're not my players. I don't want that kind of a player. He might be looking at something completely different to Chiesa. You know what I mean? So it's what Postecoglou wants, what he feels he can get and make better, and that will make the team better, is what's going to happen. And if that's the case, then we've got to believe in what Postecoglou wants and gets. In terms of right back, left back, obviously we've got the two freaking best left backs and right backs at the moment, in my opinion. Yeah. And if Man City want to go and buy Pedro Porro, like he said, they have to buy him on FIFA, which I thought was fun. Did you see that?
I heard that, yeah. I didn't.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Brilliant. Right. You got Destiny, so that's good. Emerson Royal is a sort of a cover at right back for him. Right. So that's good. Left back, we've got no cover, but then Ben Davies can eventually cover until the end of the season, if needs be, when both our centre backs, and maybe when a new centre back comes in. So that's sorted. So until summer, I think we're all right. I think, like you said, Werner comes in. If centre back comes in, and then if Gallagher gets thrown in, I think that's a fantastic window.
Yeah, I would agree. People would argue to say that, it's okay, but you can't. All the teams near the top would like to do business, in my opinion. I think that even Liverpool would like to do business. Mo Salah's gone. Are they going to rely on their four other strikers? Is their midfield strong enough? Because they might move Harvey Elliott out to that wide side, so they might need some players in midfield. Is their defence strong enough? I'm sure any manager would say, I could do with a quality player, but you're not always going to get them quality players. What I think you do is you got to play smart. Now, all this talk about, Ivan Toney going to these players. Well, who's gonna pay 100 mil? Because that's what Brentford are asking for. Brentford are in a position where they might be going down. Yeah. They showed loyalty to players like Ivan Toney, so I would expect him to show some sort of loyalty. Although he's getting less and less in football. So he said he's committed himself to the. He said he's committed.
He said he owes everything for Brentford for sticking by him in all the hard times, and they've trusted in him. They've put their faith in him, so he only feels obliged to repay the faith.
Yeah. Which then means it would take a monumental bid to get him out. That's basically what they're saying. If 100 million comes in, I'm saying that they're not going to say, they are going to sell, but they'd have to have something lined up. So the longer it gets left. So I don't see any of those major, massive deals happening just because of two reasons. January window, but also FFP or whatever you want to call it for a lot of the teams.
Yeah. Sam, this comment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Which one?
From Jay,
this one. Yeah.
Yeah. About argument Sam and Sid is that buying Chiesa level players should be good enough to play any system. I think, If you're a good enough player, you can play any system. But again, it goes down to what the manager wants. If the manager wants somebody to play his system, maybe Chiesa or whoever should be able to play any system. But maybe the manager's thinking, well, yes, he can play any system, but what I want in my system may not work. I don't know what you think about that, Sam.
Yeah, I agree. Top level players of any talent can play in his system. I do agree with that, but you still need to coach them into doing that. You know, you don't just get a Chiesa who might be used to playing, I don't know, more of a low block type team, more aggressive. I don't know what that. I don't even really know much about him because I haven't really looked into it. But his style might be different. So we can take that same thing. Look at Romero, talented player, but he still struggles on the basis that he makes rash decisions. That's just the nature of humans. We do that. We all make errors in judgment. So you are going to need a degree of time. Romero is probably one of the best centre backs for me in the world in terms of what he brings for you. And we miss him now because the progression of bringing that ball in from the back into the midfield, being able to do all that, being able to recover, has the aggressions, blah, blah, all the rest. Those are the stuff that you want as a centre back. You need to have the balance with that alongside. So what I'm saying is if you bring Chiesa in, who may be very similar to Romero, I don't know if he's right-footed, left-sided or whatever, those two might not complement each other. You've also got to look at complements in what you do in your system. That still takes time. So you can bring Chiesa in, and he might be brilliantly talented, but it might take him a month, 2 months, possibly even longer to settle. By that time, we're at May. So we ain't really benefit from it. So my point in that is, if you've got players already in your system that you can coach, blah, 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 and the rest of it, yes, you can have someone you can bring in, but don't rely on them just to come in and hit the ground running. We've been lucky in that sense with Van der Ven. We've been lucky. That can't be glossed over. We might not get that lucky again with other players. So we have to bear that in mind. Go on.
Sam, is it lucky or is it Ange's system suited him to a T?
Yeah. That's what you just said. We could see from Van der Ven's attributes that he fit the system. Same with Timo Werner. His attributes fit the system. You still need the player to provide that quality in those situations in terms of, is he calm on the ball? Does he do all them things? Does he work well under pressure? Is he in a situation where he's come over from a new place overseas and just settles in? All these things are just normal. Not every single player comes over and just settles in. Not every single player comes in and just hits the ground running. Majority of players need some time, unless you're bringing in a Messi, unless you're bringing in an Mbappe, unless you're bringing in a top level player who can just, it doesn't matter. You revolve the team around them. We're not revolving anything around any players because it's a unit. So who's saying this? Go on.
I don't know if you realise, or I don't know if you've got it wrong or not, but you do know Chiesa's a striker, right?
Because sorry.
a lot of people are putting you wrong on.
Yeah. Apologies. That's how much I don't even know. I had another Chiesa in my head. That's why I defender of some kind. Yeah. So I don't know what he's like as a striker. Then I really don't.
He's a good striker, yeah.
Juice Nuts is saying we are cooking slow simmer, not a fast heat. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Sean saying I prefer Eze and Gibbs White to Gallagher, to be honest, but I think that you're not going to get them in January.
Nope.
Most Eze proposed 110 million again.
Not going to get them either.
You're not going to get them now. These are all summer deals. Ivan Toney is overrated by everyone. He's a throwback to the old Wimbledon, but isn't the striker that everybody thinks he is. There's some. I've seen him play well, but again, he's been out for what? Nearly a year? Is it about a year he's been out of the game?
About 8 months.
8 months, 9 months, whatever it is. He ain't going to come back and just hit the ground again.
Exactly.
Thinking that he's going to. No, don't see it. Exactly. We need a brute of a striker who can score more often than not. Tell me who and how we're going to get him, and do they fit the system? Because remember, you can get a brute striker, but a brute striker who just stays in the box isn't what we need. Do you know what I mean? Isn't necessarily what we need as part of our build-up play. Now, Richarlison is getting into the box because the goals I've seen him get, the ones with Johnson where he's got down the line and crossed them in, is because there's space in behind. Is Richarlison going to score us 5-10 headers with crosses into the box? I don't know. He's supposed to be a header up, but I don't know. Chiesa is a striker, chaps. Yeah, thank you for that. I was thinking of somebody else. Left-sided striker who scored goals. There's nobody in our front line is as good as him. But can Chiesa handle the EPL? That's to be said. We're not getting him anyway. So it's all well
I don't even
good.
know where the link for Chiesa's come from, to be fair. I don't even know.
Okay. He has a height and build for Prem. He's not a Gill. We are filling positions that we really need. Again, we're saying about certain attributes. He's got height, he's got strength. Didn't we have, what's his name, from Brazil last season or season before? What's his name? Who played up front for us? The Brazilian who we had on loan.
Vinicius.
Again, it looked like he fitted everything in terms of, I saw him, he looked like he could play on the wide areas. He looked like he was a big number 9, but it didn't really work out for him. Why didn't it work out? I don't really know, but he didn't look like he settled. He didn't look like he was given enough opportunities. Maybe he just wasn't as good as we thought. Simple. Chiesa run England ragged in the Euros. Fine. International football, again, different from Premier League, week to week to week to week. Go on.
I was going to say, it's also, you can mention all these names, but it's what Postecoglou wants, isn't it, really? At the end of the day, it's down to him. Exactly. It's his team. It's his training. It's his system. If he wants them players, then he'll go for them. He's not mentioned nothing about Chiesa or people like that. So he's obviously got set-minded players that he wants, that he knows will fulfill the roles and the positions and the system he wants them to play. Simple. So we can ask for all these players, the Tonys and this and that, the others. If they don't fit his system, then he ain't going for them. Simple.
Yeah. And again, Harry Kane, he let Harry Kane go. Let's not get twisted. I think Postecoglou was who actually signed off and said, yep, Harry Kane's fine. Because he probably knew that was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
But Postecoglou seems to want forward players as opposed to a striker. He wants to be able to rotate that. So if Richarlison is playing up front, maybe he can sometimes move to the left if he's not. And then Son, we've seen that. Son started off centrally. He's moved to the left. You know, Johnson started off left, has now moved to the right. Kulusevski was in the right, is now moved into a central area, has played on the left. Again, this is what Postecoglou's blueprint is. So us saying, oh yeah, get Casey because he does this and does that, might not be what makes the team tick even more. We've got to think, we want to improve. We've got too many players that we've sent out on loan or we've bought who haven't really improved us. A big one is Ndombele. We still got him on our books at 200k a week for another 1.5 years. Anyway, that's another story.
Swipe to the left.
Swipe to the left. Vinicius is linked with a Mexican club, by the way, not torn up trees at Fulham. No. Yeah. Sam Felice can be turned into that brute striker, but we need a clinical finisher. Can we, going back to the point that Jews Nuts made here, there was a point that Jews made, and I'm going to bring it up again if I can find it. It was just with regards to, you know, the quality of, you know, the strikers taking their chances. Goal efficiency hasn't been Tottenham's thing for ages since Keane and Berbatov era, blah, blah. If we have increased chances, we will score more. I just want goal efficiency improved. I think that's very difficult to improve goal efficiency if your players are not if they're not naturally gifted in that sense. Richarlison, I don't think is ever going to get you 20, 25 goals a season. I think he's between 10 and 15, and maybe on a really, really good season, he'll get close to 20. Has he done that in his career to date? Yes, he's been playing for Everton and he's playing for Watford and those sort of teams, and maybe Spurs is a step up, so he should get more chances. But the pressure's increased. You know, he's having to do maybe a bit more than he was expected to do. His expectations are increased on him. But I still don't see him getting 20 goals. Do I see Johnson getting 20 goals this season? No. But the collective of these players with the Sons, with now Timo Werner, with John, if they all chip in 5 to 10 goals, and you have a Son that scores you 20 goal plus, as I said, I think he's got to have 30 goal contributions this season for me for Son. 20 goals, 10 assists, or somewhere in that sort of region. Then we can start to think that these players are going to make a difference. But if Harry Kane came back, of course he would score goals for us. I'm not saying that he wouldn't score goal for us.
Would he though?
But the way he would play would be different. I'm pretty sure. So that's what people have to decide. Ange Postecoglou has a way of playing. he needs players that fit that way of playing. You know, you're not just going to go out and get somebody because we like him. I mean, there's loads of players that I'd love us to bring in, but I know it's not going to fit his system. So that's what we have to think. We have to trust the manager.
And you know what? I think, like you said, he wants players that, I think, who's put it up there? Eddie Ryan said here, we are going to have a lot of movement now in our forward line with the players we got. Maybe that's what, like you said, Sam, maybe that's what Postecoglou is looking for, where if Richarlison's not doing well, I'll pull him out, put Son up top. You know what I mean? If Son's not doing well, I'll pull him out, I'll put Werner up top or whatever. He's got that angles now. He can now do that with the players we've got. It doesn't take away any pace because all of them have still got pace. So it's Postecoglou's system way, isn't it? He likes that fast counter-attacking football and he wants everyone to be on par. So that's the kind of players he's looking for, and that is what it is. I mean, you know, we don't know. It might not work. It might work, but it's our manager's way. It's worked so far. Yes, we haven't got a prolific goal scorer. Maybe he doesn't want a prolific goal scorer. Maybe he wants players across the front, all of them, to contribute. And maybe he's told them that all of you need to score X amount of goals. I'd rather have all of you scoring goals than just the one player and none of the others. So it sort of swings in roundabouts. Do you want someone who's going to score you 30 goals whilst the other players do absolutely nothing apart from assists? Or do you want an overall contribution from all your forward line, including some of the midfielders as well?
David Clark saying that Talibot was only his first choice, so Anish doesn't get the players he wants. He was saying that Dragunsin is not his first choice. Maybe not. But what I do think with our scouting system at the moment, there is, and PRTv, when we heard about him coming in, has got this way of doing things. Now, whether people like it or not, he's still involved in all these contracts. He's still involved in these negotiations. Probably Daniel Levy is more of a backseat, but he still has to sign off on the checks because he's the one paying the wages and paying the transfer fees. But there's a lot more people involved to get the decisions right. And this is all I want them to do. Get the decisions as close to 100% as you can. We've seen too many not close to 100%. What's his name that came from Ajax, the forward? Keep forgetting names now. I'm terrible.
For who?
For us. He played for us. Was it Ajax he came from?
Oh, Bergwijn.
Yeah, Bergwijn. Another one, brilliantly talented. Probably gone off and done well out elsewhere. But did he quite fit what we had? Maybe some of the managers that we had. Maybe if we had him now, it'd be different. But Ange needs players that want to buy into what he does. He also wants players that are going to run through brick walls. He doesn't want, I say, attitude in quote marks, because someone like Jed Spence, who appears to have an attitude, I don't know what that would be, whether or not it's just a big move and it's a step up and he thinks he's made. I don't know. I'm not going to say, oh, he's like thinks he's too big for his boots, but that's the impression that it gives based on what other managers have said. Neil Warnock being one of them, the guy at Norwich being
the other one. Yeah. Sam, question for you, right? And question for you as well, David. Have you seen any footage, if you have, or any writing anywhere quoting Postecoglou saying Todibo was my number one target? Because I've never seen or heard Postecoglou say Todibo is my number one target and Dragunsin is a second choice. We were linked with Todibo, yes, and there was a lot of rumours. Again, it was all paper talk and everybody else on rinse and repeat. But has anyone actually heard Postecoglou turn around and say he is my number one target? Because I haven't.
I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah,
I personally think that the way that they do the transfers now, we can be linked with so many different players, but maybe they've actually got to focus on somebody. Like I said, they must have known it wasn't just a. Let's get Timo Werner. It couldn't have been that. They couldn't have just done that a couple of days ago. They would have known his availability. They would have been watching. So again, if that's the case, they will be knowing what they need to fit the profile. This is the most important thing, is players that are going to fit the profile and hopefully improve the team. If they improve themselves, great. But if they improve the team more so, even better. Because I don't think Royal, in a sense, has really improved as a footballer. He's not got better technique. He's not got better passing range. He still does the same things. He goes into midfield, turns back and plays it. He doesn't do anything, like I said, Ange has made it. He's quality, but his overall collective to the team, being that he's got the pace to get back, he is a decent defender. He doesn't get bullied off the ball. He's not great in the air, but at least he makes the effort. He's willing to do what the manager asks. And this is what we need. We need more players like that who are going to do what the manager asks and perform it to a level that makes a team better. That's all I'm looking for. So whether Timo Werner is the answer, we'll see. Whether Dragunsin is the answer, we'll see. If we get that player, again, we'll see. It might be something else that just comes out of left field.
See, the problem with...
I was going to just comment. We're going to have some decent height at the back now when the corners come in. Yeah, if we get him. I think Ange's first choice from the summer was Tap Sober. David Clark saying, you haven't heard Ange tell people who any of his targets, get real, it's A1 journalists that people trust who have said this. No coach tells the public who any of his choices are. Yeah, you're probably right in that. And this is why I don't listen to the journalists, because they're trying to sell you a product. They're trying to sell you a story to click. That's how they make their money. They're in a job. For all these people about Fabrizio Romano, who's got his finger on the pulse, he may have at one time, but now he's seeing dollars come in. He's got to put out tweets. He's got to put out things. And whether or not they're 100% accurate because he's actually gone into it, I don't know, because he can't keep his fingers in every single effing pie. So I'm looking at people or journalists that are specific to what Tottenham are doing, and Alistair Gold, people like that, who some people are saying, don't trust him, he's a Spurs through, Danny Levy mouthpiece. But he knows what's going on. He knows what's going on to a degree. We'll never know 100%. But I hope that we do get a centre-back seat. Sean saying left-back cover. What are you thinking about left-back situation?
I said before, didn't I? Sessegnon's back. Okay, against Burnley, he used him on the wing, left wing. But he does what Destiny RW does. He's a left back, stroke wing back, so he can play as a big defender and going forward. For me, he's not the ideal person to have. We need someone to come in. However, depending on what Ben Davies' situation is, how quickly he comes back, he can cover as left back as well. So I don't think Postecoglou is concerned at this precise moment about a left back. Maybe in the summer as cover.
David, I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of players, but okay. Managers' choices, what a manager wants and what a manager gets are two different things. If I'm a manager, I might go to the board and say, I want Virgil van Dijk to partner, you know what I mean, to come in to be part of a 3-back-3 with, to be competition to Romero and Van der Ven. Not going to happen. It might be my first choice, but I have to be realistic in this matter. You have to have a number of players within your list, because you can't just go out and say, I'm going to spend 100 million or 200 million on a player just because you want him. Football don't work like that. That's why they put rules in place for that. So going back to the point that we've already made, whether or not it's Ange's first choice, is it a player that fits the profile? So far, I've not heard him say that, nah. But whether he would say that, I don't know. But he seems like he's a very honest manager. So if he gets a player, I'm sure he would, in some way, shape or form, say that that's not his player. He's already been clear about Dyer in the way he's acted with him. And that question that he got in the last press conference where he's asked, now that we've got Ben Davies out, do you think that you would need to keep Eric Dyer in your squad? And his answer was, I know, could you afford to lose Eric Dyer? The way the question was worded was very good. And he said, yes. It put him in the spot for a yes-no answer. And he said yes to it. Yeah. He said yes. He didn't kind of skirt around and saying, well, we've got to wait to see what goes on in the market. Eric Dyer's a professional. We want Eric because he's been... No. He was asked a direct question, which I thought was well worded because it put him into that position. But what we've seen of Ange Postecoglou, he's not going to shy away from that. Can you afford to lose Eric Dyer? Yes. That told me, A, he's either doesn't rate Eric Dyer enough that he's willing to even let him go, even if we don't get a replacement, which is scary, or we've already got someone lined up, potentially. Yeah. We don't have wing-backs there, inverted full-backs. We play totally different role than wing-backs. Exactly. But Porro was brought as a wing-back, was now playing an inverted full-back because he's coachable, because he's talented, and the Ange Postecoglou has made him play better. Yes, there's still some way to go from a defensive perspective, but he's improved, and he's certainly one of our biggest contributors so far this season. Yay! I can see what you just said there. So let's move on to the last bit then. We're going to touch on the Man United when you do the preview anyway, so that's fine. I guess the last little bit, and we only spend a few minutes on it because I guess we know where we are. In your humble opinion, Sid, given the fact that, you know, we've won the last 4 out of 5 games with what we could say is not our strongest 11. We've got players to come back. We've now lost a number of players. Are we still in this title race? And I say race, not title challenges. Are we in the title race still?
What did Postecoglou say when he was interviewed?
He basically was like, well, people don't think we are, but we're fifth. We're 5 points off the top or 1 point behind Arsenal and whatever it was. He kind of, you make your own decision. And I made my decision. I think we are 1 point behind Arsenal, having played the way we do. Now, I know they've got their own troubles. And Liverpool, yeah, they're top, but they're not like, wow, Liverpool. There's no team apart. You can say Man City, but even then, they're not played that well. Are we in a title race? You said yes. So where do you think we end up?
We're 1 point behind Arsenal and Man City, 3 behind Aston Villa, and 6 behind Liverpool. Where we are, with what we've had this season so far, I'd say we're still in the race. But losing Sarr, Basuma, and Son is a bit of a dent. Yeah. Had we had all them 3 and all the players coming back, I would definitely, and if and when the new signings did come in, I would have definitely said we're in the race. I still think we are, but it dependent now on the next 3 or 4 games to see whether we will actually be in the race. And if we beat United on Sunday, then that's another big statement, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I think we're there and thereabouts. I'm not going to say we're going to win it, but like I said to you in that WhatsApp group, and I think I mentioned it last week, if we're not there to win it, come April, we're going to shake that table and shake some teams up with the fixtures that we've coming up in April. If we're not in it, or even if we're in it or thereabouts, I'm telling you now, we're going to blow it open. We're going to blow it wide open because we've got some teams to play. And if we've got every single player back, fit, firing, boy, this season could be fucking one of the best Prem seasons. Yeah.
I think between mid-February and the end of the season, when potentially we could have those players back from wherever they've gone to, Asian Cup, Africa, AFCON, players coming back from injury, getting a bit of luck in terms of not getting your key players out at those times. I think if we can keep together the same sort of team squad that we had from August to around about November up to the Chelsea game, and we do that from around mid-February to the end of the season, I think we'll have a really good end to the season. It's this key moment, this next 5-6 games or so, whilst these players are away, whilst these players are coming back, if we can just stay in touch, do you know what I mean? Pick up a couple of draws away from home to them big teams, you know, maybe beat a Man United away from home. Do you know, you go to Everton, that's not an easy place to go when they're fighting for what they do. But you know what I mean? Pick up a result there, stay in touch. Everybody's going to take points of everybody. I think we should be. I'll be disappointed if we don't make top 5. But I'm looking a little bit higher. I'm looking around about if Aston Villa are clearly at the moment in where they are and they're playing Europa League football, why can't we? Why can't we be in around that position? So let's have a see. Final thoughts, Sid. Before we go, let's have a look at some comments first, and then you can have your final thoughts. We've got here Jay Ashraf. City are starting to click and will pull away from us and Arsenal. They're definitely going to pull away from Arsenal. We are going for the double, and we have a shout getting them. The double?
FA Cup and the Prem.
Yeah. I didn't even, you know what? Oh my God, it didn't even compute in my head. I thought, what double are we after? Double? Listen, Juice, last year I said we were going to win the Champions League and or the Premier League. That didn't go down too well. So I didn't even look at a double. Any one of these, we need a trophy. That's what I was going to ask you, Sid. Is it more important that we get a trophy this season? As opposed, I know the league is a trophy, but if you had FA Cup, to me, winning a trophy is all important. FA Cup is the only one that we're realistically going to win if we really think
every season, Sam. Every season is a trophy, isn't it? Every season we won a trophy.
Some people are top fours and top fives, aren't they, for the Champions League? I ain't one of them. I'm not. We're in the shakedown, but won't win it. Pre-season, I hope for EL football and the FA Cup. I think we will hit one of my targets. I think we can hit both. Given Man United's where they are, and I think West Ham, they're going to be hit or miss. The way the table is now, I think we should be rare at minimum where we are. Don't be negative, Sean. And said it. Let the fans believe. That's right. Let them fans believe it, babies. We're going for the double. We might be going for it. Whether we get it or not is a different matter. Final thoughts, Sid.
Right. So obviously Werner is probably done and dusted. I don't know about the other ones, but all I can say is with this centre-back signing, are they going to drag you in, or is it going to be a drag you sin? Time will tell.
That's good. Ended well there. Like that play on words. I just want us to get a centre-back that has the qualities that Andrew's looking for. Now, if this is now close and you're reading some of the things on some of the websites that we've agreed fees and now it's about Jed Spence, whatever. I don't know what Jed... Oh, look who's here.
What's this guy coming?
You're a bit late, fam.
No,
fam.
No, I know, but I thought I'd just say hi. I thought I'd come and say hi.
Listen, you can carry on if you want, Sam. I've got to shoot, yeah?
All right, we might do that. No problem.
Darius?
We'll spend
I'm not here for long. I just thought I'd come say hi to the Paxton people.
And goodbye.
So. And hi to you, Sid, and goodbye to you, Sid.
Goodbye. Take it easy,
spend
guys.
5 minutes to get
Thank
Darius.
you, everyone in the comment section as well.
So don't forget, preview, look out for this guy that way when he does the preview show for the Man United game. So look out for that. Yeah, take care, Sid, if we go. Darius, me and you then.
Hey.
We aren't going to cover everything, but
Just
the Dragunsin and Timo Werner. What's your thoughts on the Timo Werner, which is apparently almost done, pretty much done, and
I think Timo Werner is pretty much done.
Okay, and a centre back pursuit. What's your thoughts on both those things?
Maybe it's a little bit of cope. You know, they call it copium. Maybe I'm trying to cope a little bit, but I actually think Timo Werner's slightly shrewd business. And while I understand he has a lot of deficiencies, given context, given the fact that we know what he's being brought in to do, and it's a low risk, high reward sort of scenario, I'm actually not that bothered. If he misses loads of chances, I mean, we've seen two of our front three do that all season, and you know, we gave them chances. Seem to have come good. I mean, even if they don't look like, you know, they're passing the eye test and they're playing very well on the pitch, you look at their stats and, you know, they're both contributing. And by these two people, if anybody doesn't know, I'm talking about Brennan Johnson and Richarlison. So, yeah, I think in this system, given the fact that, you know, we're going to have our prime creator coming back soon and everybody seems to understand now how to create, sort of creating chances isn't the problem with us. We seem to create enough chances in the games. It's almost how well our finishing is, and I know Werner doesn't help that, but I have confidence given the fact what Leveler said with given he has to perform to get into the Germany squad in the Euros. I think he's going to do good enough for us to be like, well, even if we don't trigger the £17 million or euro release clause, at least he came and did something for us when we lost Son at the Asia Cup, and I think he'll probably get 5 goals. Maybe even get only 3 goals and maybe 5-6 assists. But if he comes here and gets close to 10 goal involvements, I think we'll all be pretty happy with that. So I'm not going to complain too much. I'm actually, I would rather Werner than Jota, and that's me being completely honest with you. So I'm actually kind of okay with this. I've always liked Werner until he sort of went to Chelsea, because obviously he was a Chelsea player then. But yeah, since his time at Leipzig, I didn't really watch him at Stuttgart, but especially at Leipzig, he was great. So let's hope we get the best version of Werner. And in terms of the centre back, I just hope we get one, to be honest with you. I've come to the point now where I don't care who we get. It looks like it's going to be Dragunsin. I say it's going to be Dragunsin. I don't know. But I think he'll be a great signing at a 21-year-old for what he's got quality-wise. I think he'll be amazing. So I just say hurry up and get it done. I don't think we're going to get one by the Man United game now. So we just need to hurry up and get it done. I also really like Jean-Claude Todibo, but it's going to be a lot harder to get him out. And I think Nice are trying to start bidding more there with other clubs. So yeah, let's go get Dragunsin done, Werner done, and I really do think we need to get a midfielder. If it's going to be one for the future, I don't know. If it's going to be one as a stopgap, I don't know. But I think we also need a midfielder.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to get all that. I said for a good transfer window for us would be to get a centre back, a central midfielder, and a forward, not a striker. People are getting confused now. I don't think Ange wants a striker per se. He wants someone who can score goals that can play in different positions, who's bringing what he brings. Now, we'll wait on the Timo Werner, but it is decent business. Let's not get it twisted. We can clown him. I can clown him as I've done, but it's good business because there's no obligation on us necessarily. If he performs well, yeah, we can think about it. We could trigger that 17 million release clause. If he doesn't, then we've paid his wages, and that's about it. We should be looking at younger, more. Let's say what Scarlett's going to do. What do you think about Scarlett? Is he not going to get an opportunity? Do you think Scarlett can play in them wide areas?
No, down the middle for me. It looks, and this is my thing, it looks as if Richarlison is ahead of Son in the striker position, because as soon as Richarlison picked up form, he went straight down the middle again and Son moved out to the left. Now, whether that's a permanent thing until Richarlison then, in my opinion, it's eventually then has a bad run of form again, I don't know, but it seems as if Richarlison's number one in the striker position, and Son filling out on the left, whether that was to preserve his energy for Asia Cup, I don't know, but it seems like Richarlison's number one. So I think Dane Scarlett, if he comes in and uses his physicality, because for a young kid, he looks pretty big. Do you know what I mean? He looks kind of swole almost. I think he can have a good impact on Ange for the future, but I just don't think he's going to bag a bunch of goals. If he does, I mean, I think he's got the finishing quality. His finishing is amazing. That's his best attribute, in my opinion. Left, right, put it in the corner. I think he definitely has that knack for scoring. Dane Scarlett. Yeah. Okay. Like he can, if you look at the way he finishes a ball, he's a very, very, very good finisher. It reminds me similar to how Mason Greenwood sort of strikes a ball, and very good with both feet as well. So I think he's going to be all right. But again, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. I think we need to go and get forward, like you said, somebody who could preferably play out wide on the wing. I don't think Solomon cuts it. Perisic is going. So it leaves you with really just Son, and then Johnson's going to play on the right, and Kulusevski cannot play on the left. So I think somebody who can play on the left is going to have to be the next option. I really think we should give Scarlett a chance, though. Veliz is out for a while now. Donnelly again can play in different positions, but Scarlett is he's a goal scorer. So let's see. There's loads of things to think about. Let's see, because do you want to then say, if we've got Scarlett and he's like, all right, Scarlett's back now, and he's that new striker, new forward, and then we get Werner. You wouldn't be happy with knowing that Werner and Scarlett are your sort of new additions to your forward line, especially if we don't go out and do big business in the summer. So is it a bit of a pulling the wool over our eyes? Like, oh, youngsters are back, bringing youngsters in, we don't really need to go out there? Or are they actually looking to go further in the market and just they're waiting for the exact perfect player that fits that system to go out and spend the 50 million like they did on Brennan Johnson, or even more money potentially?
What Postecoglou said in a number of press conferences when pressed on it about his role in dictating who comes to the club, he has the final say. He said that in a number of ways, but he does have that final say in terms of the player that comes in. Now, what he doesn't have, in my opinion, is, like I said, I don't think he's got this gravitas to be able to say, I want Salah or I want Mbappe. Every manager in the world can do that. No, but what I'm saying is, in terms of a player, like a real, whatever fits his
Oh
system,
yeah,
like the elite.
everyone would want them.
So
Yeah,
what I
but you
think,
can't get them.
yeah, what I think he does is right. This player fits my system. I like this player. If you give me a choice of 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be my order. But you know, there's not that much difference between some of them, or there might be a big difference. But he has that. I don't think it's just one player. If I don't get him, he's not like a Conte. Conte struck me as like, I want this player. If I don't get him, well, the squad's not good enough. I don't care. I'm not trying. Ange Postecoglou doesn't come across like that because he's more people person and he backs himself from a coaching perspective. That's the important bit. He backs himself from a coaching perspective. Can I improve the team? He's said on a number of occasions, the biggest area for improvement for us is going to be in that final third. And that's the biggest area where I currently see us having that quantum leap, if that's the case. But you still
also the hardest position to improve, though, isn't it? Like,
but it is
finding a goal scorer in this market now is very, very hard. And I don't know, like, do you just take the risk with Scarlett? But you need to distribute the goals between that front line. That's how you get around not finding a good striker in this day and age.
This is when people say that Son isn't world class. There's some people that say Son's not world class. It's now that we see that Son is world class. As I said to you, he's got 17 goal contributions in 19 games or whatever it was in the Premiership that he's played for us this season. But he's got his goals from out left, but he's also got his goals from the central area as well. He's contributed from out left. He's contributed from the centre because he's that all. Yeah, maybe that's the responsibility of being captain and he wants to prove himself. But that's the type of player that
he's been doing that.
We would need. If we could get another Son, or, you know, imagine that. A player that could play left or right or centre and still score goals. Mo Salah is the prime example of that. Do you know what I mean? On the left or on the right, should I say? But he's their biggest goal threat and the biggest contributor in terms of goal chances created, assists, etc. They are hard to find. So the next best thing is, can the manager improve the players? Who else do you think he's going to be able to improve that we're going to need to rely on in the next few months? Because, as I said, we're missing a number of players. Who else do you think is going to get an Ange increase in potential?
It's hard to say. I don't think he really trusts those centre-backs, as we've seen. So I can't really say any of the young centre-backs. I don't want to say Sessegnon because I just don't think he should not be allowed. He should be training with Jed Spencer at the under-21. No way he should be getting game time because he's proven he's not of the level that we need. I don't really know, Sam. It's going to be difficult to say. I can't think of anybody who will really push on that significantly unless we get signings, because it's all about players coming back, isn't it? Van der Ven coming back, Maddison coming back. Obviously, if the new signings come in and start hot, then it's going to be a lot easier to sort of get the continued form that we need after January. But I don't really know who's going to take that next step, in my opinion. It's going to be kind of hard to predict anyone, really, because, we've lost a lot of players and, the likes of Emerson can step up. I think Pedro Porro has been fantastic. He's really become like a mainstay in this team now. Lo Celso is probably the best answer I could give you. He really needs to sort of probably show us he can start for this team and impact the team as much as he does when he plays, off the bench and he plays in bits and bobs. So I think probably, if I could give you any answer going through that team in my head, I'd probably have to say Lo Celso. But again, I'm not expecting Lo Celso to turn into, the next big thing and be this great creator, because he's a good player, but he's a good player, and I think that's about it. So we'll have to wait and see. I think personally we should be trying to upgrade on Lo Celso, but again, for what he's done now, he has put in very good performances. It's just how consistent and how long can he do this for?
Did Lo Celso play a lot in the Argentinian team that won the World Cup? Did he play?
Yeah, he was a big. Well, I'm pretty sure it was McAllister, who was in the middle. I don't know. It was McAllister, Laporte, and DePaul, because Lo Celso was injured. I think Lo Celso got injured because he was a big part of them leading up to the World Cup. I'm pretty sure it was McAllister and DePaul and Enzo as well, who played in that midfield. So I don't know if he was part of that. I'm not sure now. I can't remember. I don't know if he was part of that World Cup winning Argentina team, but he's very, very highly respected amongst that team. He gets man of the matches a lot. And if someone can correct me, I'm not too sure. I just can't remember Lo Celso being in that midfield. But he's a starter for that Argentina team. If he was fit, I'm pretty sure he would be starting for that team. So yeah. Yeah, he was in. Sean said he was injured for World Cup, so I was right. Yeah, so I think he's definitely highly touted, but again, it's all hearsay, isn't it? You're doing that for Argentina, but if you're not doing that for your club, it doesn't really matter. So, and it seems like he's in a better place and a better state of mind. So it looks like he wants to try and show us what he can really do. So I'm excited.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the issue. He has got that ability. He has got that talent, and I think, as you rightly said, he seems to have that pull for Argentina. He seems to be one of the first names in that squad, not necessarily in the first 11, but I think he's pushed for that first 11 place. So he's got the potential. So I think he's one player that I think can definitely increase and give us more, because I think he's got more to give. Bentancur's another one. And the only reason I'm saying that is because we haven't really seen Bentancur play under Ange. Ange has seen him in training, but we haven't seen him play. And the games that we have seen him play, I've actually said, wow, this guy, if we keep him fit and Ange can keep working with him and he can get players around him that can do other jobs, the midfield is of a high caliber. If you think of Basuma in there, if you think of Sarr in there, if you think of Madison in there, if you think of Lo Celso in there, and you think of Kulusevski in there potentially, that's a number of players which you can rotate in areas, not necessarily the 6th area, because I think that's a key area that Bentancur is going to play a lot of. Basuma might be the competition to that. And if we keep Højbjerg, he's the third choice. Skip or Højbjerg, depending on what that'll be in terms of the third choice. So both I think him.
Can't lie to you.
But we can't get rid of him now. We're the
barrels, I'm saying,
man.
if we're thinking long term.
Yeah, long term.
Can't be stay longer than summer, can they, really?
Nah, and we'll have to look and see what the summer brings. But yeah, Bentancur, Lo Celso, and I'm even going to put in Kulusevski in there. And the reason being, I think Kulusevski's got a big ceiling. I don't like to use the word, but I think he's got the potential to be in that number 10/8/ central area, to be a more creative than he would be on the right-hand side. And that's kind of a big thing to say, because considering how much he does give us from the right side. But I think his attributes in terms of his pace don't allow him to play the way that Ange really, really wants to play. He doesn't just go... Johnson glides past players and they don't usually catch him back up. You have to be really quick. I've seen Kulusevski get past players and then get caught up by somebody who's not necessarily that quick. So I think he's potential. Sean saying, brother was targeted by Burnley last Friday night. Kicked him out the game. Who are we talking about there?
Lo Celso, maybe?
Lo Celso. Yeah, it is Lo Celso. I think Sean's talking about. I'll ask you the same question that I asked Sid before we finish. Given where we are we in a title race? And what's your expectations for the remainder of the season in terms of, I guess, what we get at the end?
Everyone's going to say mathematically we're in a title race, but we're not in a title race. City are back. City are well and truly back. I'm very, very scared of City now. Doku seems like he's returning from injury. De Bruyne is returning from injury. Foden's flying. It's scary, scary, scary hours for the Premier League. And I don't rate Liverpool. I don't care what Liverpool fans are saying. I don't rate them. Arsenal, as much as they lost, and results are results, you have to win. Liverpool got the win. They played well enough to get the win. They can get picked at, and they had barely any players in that team. So Arsenal were just as bad. Arsenal deserve just as much hate, but I don't see any other team sort of no team has got the capability of winning like 10, 15 games in a row apart from Man City. Not even us. We can go maybe unbeaten for 10, 15 games in a row, but there'll be a few draws in there. City could really win 10 or 15 games in a row, and they've just got the squad to do it. I think we all know it takes about a year for players to get into that squad. So sort of get into that feel of the squad. So again, players like Núñez are going to come and start to realize it. They belong there. So I'm being realistic. I think it's going to be a great season for us. I think we're going to finish in the top 4. I'll be very happy with that. If we beat them in the FA Cup, I will be over the moon. I think we're their bogey team. So I think in a knockout form, I remember that Champions League two-legged tie that we had with them. I really think we can beat them in the FA Cup. Genuinely, if we have all our players back, and it's only a few weeks away, so we probably won't. But I really think we can beat them in the FA Cup. So I'm focused on beating them in the FA Cup. I'm not worried about the title. The title's crazy. It's crazy to think that we can win the title when you look at Man City's team. It's just too good. It's too good.
Yeah, if you obviously look at it on paper.
I'm going to look at the team right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. But Jews is saying, Darius, you disappointed me. Be positive, brother.
I'm trying. You know what I am? I really am, Jews. As much as I'm saying, no, we're not going to win. I don't think me saying we're not going to win the league is me not being positive. Because nobody in their right fucking mind would have thought we were going to win the league in the start of the season. No. So I'm positive in the sense of if we beat Man City in the 4th round of the Cup and finish in the top 4 and have a really good FA Cup run and even maybe win it, that's a good season. That's a great first season for Ange. Yeah. Great.
The biggest thing for me is to see how we go over the next 4, 5, 6 games until we get our full complement back from players going overseas, players coming back from injury. Once he's got almost a full squad, you're never going to have a proper full squad to look at for your whole season, but the majority of your better players, I really think if we're in contention, we should cement a top 3 place. In my opinion, I'm only saying this, and the reason I say that, we wouldn't have said that at the beginning because you would have thought Arsenal were going to be flying. You would have said Manchester City, no chance, we're not catching them. Nobody had Liverpool on their agenda this year because they were on a bit of a rebuild, but they've played well enough to be in this position. So we'll see what they're like over the next few weeks without Salah, because Salah has got so many goal contributions for them that's unbelievable. Darius, the double is on.
Crazy. I love it. I love it. I love the optimism, guys. I'm not even going to sort of shoot it down. It is still on. It is still on. But I just think if we even get close to that title, if we're like even 4 or 5 points off that title, I will even be mad. And I think it would be crazy for anybody to be mad at that, because that would give so much incentive to the club to just back this manager. But let's dream.
One thing I will say is, if it comes to a point where there's a priority call need to be made, and particularly if we can get through the Man City game, we should prioritize the FA Cup. It's
a great championship.
Even if it means you slightly play a weakened team. I always use the quotes because a weakened team it just means you got to rotate your squad. Even if that means rotating to be able to play a Premiership game because you're focused on the FA Cup game, I think we should be doing that personally. Because I don't think we're going to be outside the top 5, regardless of what we do. It's proved that even with our bare minimum, we can still compete. So I expect these players, if they're not the first choice, they will still compete because Andrew's got them competing. So I'm looking at the FA Cup, particularly if we get through City, as being that's the focus for me. Because silverware, if we got the FA Cup and finished 5th, 6th, 7th, we know what the potential is for next year. But it gets that pressure, that monkey off your back, as they would say. It means,
and it's a big trophy to win the FA Cup.
Yeah. And these players have said to themselves, in our first season with our manager, we've done this. And that's all Andrew needs to do to motivate these players. Look what we've done. We had all these problems. We had all these situations. Not to say no other teams had that, but look what we've achieved and look at our potential. A few more building blocks into that, and there's a lot going on this in the future. But for me, if it was a priority call and someone had to say, right, you got Romero and Van der Ven for the FA Cup, but you can't play them in a league game against, let's say, I don't know, a Crystal Palace, FA Cup for me. But that's just me.
Well, we'll see. Arsenal are out, so that's one team out, and you know it looks like the Man United game. Let's just you know what? I joined late. I don't want to talk too much. I think the Man United game is another game that we need to really focus on and just make sure we win that game, because after watching them against Wigan and just watching them all season, I really think they don't impress me. They really don't. They're just horrible. It's horrible, and it will be disappointing if they win the game, regardless of if they dominate. I expect to win against Man United now. That's how bad they are at the moment.
So for you, is this one about the result as opposed to anything else?
This is pure result. I don't care if we play badly. I don't care if we go to Old Trafford and it's a bad game and we miss a bunch of chances. I don't care if it's a 1-0. I don't care if it's a 4-3. I don't care. At the end of the day, 100%. Old Trafford is still Old Trafford. I'm not disrespecting Manchester United. It's going to be a tough game. but they are horror. They're absolute horror. Horror. And like,
let me
just the
give
way
you
they play, the
Man
keepers, the
United's-
defense. Oh,
Yeah.
we
Man
should
United
really
in the last
eat 'em up.
5 games. Last 5 games, starting from the first game. Lost, drawn, lost, won, lost.
And who are those two?
Let's have a quick look. So Manchester United, they're rubbish. They're rubbish. I don't care what anybody says. They lost last time out, obviously, in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Why is my phone just
They won the FA Cup.
always bloody doing this when I want it to move a bit quicker? Scores. All right, that's why. Scores and fixtures. Manchester United. Going back into December, so they lost to Forest 2-1. Then the 26th, they beat Villa 3-2 after being 2-0 down. They lost to West Ham 2-0. They drew 0-0 with Liverpool. Then they lost to Bayern Munich in that game. Sorry, that's going backwards. So I guess for the last 5 games, Manchester United lost to Bournemouth, drew 0-0 with Liverpool, lost to West Ham, beat Villa after being 2-0 down, and lost to Nottingham Forest 2-1.
So there's decent teams here, but I remember watching a lot of those games.
They got beaten 3-0 by Bournemouth at home, though. And
they were toothless. That was a bad one. That was a bad one. And the thing is, that's what I'm saying. I remember those Man United performances. They were toothless. Even if you look at the Arsenal game, Arsenal have issues, a lot of issues, but they still create, 60-odd shots in 2 games, whatever you want to say. Man United are horror. They are horror, and we just need to get a result, because if not to say that that's going to affect our season, it's just not one that... It's 3 points you should pick up, and it would give you way more confidence if you beat Man United, at Old Trafford. It's just one of those games I think you just have to win. And I think we can dominate the game, and I don't really care how we win, but boy, Man United, I don't even want to speak. There's a preview obviously coming up. Hopefully I won't be working so I can jump on that preview, because I don't even want to shit on them like just for the sake of shitting on them. It's just horrible to see the situation that they're in right now. So yeah.
Even if we took a point,
Sancho's going back home to Dortmund. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah. Even if we took a point, because West Ham are 5 points behind us, and then Brighton, the next closest team to us, are 8 points behind us. Manchester United being 8 points behind us, and then the next closest Newcastle, Chelsea, 29 and 28 respectively. We're in no danger of being outside of that top 5, even if we have.
I ain't taking a point. No, you know what?
No,
I'm feeling that confident.
100%.
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling big about this game.
I agree. I don't want to take a point, but what I'm saying is, away from home, at Old Trafford, as you said, I've been to Old Trafford and seen us winning 3-0 and see us lose a game. I've been to Old Trafford and see Cristiano come in and just do things, and I'm thinking, David Beckham the same. It's like they have a way, but not recently.
Ain't the same, bro. Ain't the same. And you know what? I want us to make it a horrible game. Make sure there's 15 minutes added time so Onana misses his plane to flipping Ivory Coast, so he don't get on that plane. Because I know he's got as soon as the whistle goes, you're going to see him. He's going to hit one of them. He's going to sprint off that pitch so he can get on the plane, because he's got flights to catch. So I think we should really, like I said, I know this could come back to bite me, but this Man United are horror, man.
We could be unlucky. Like we were in the Chelsea game when we all said, this Chelsea team, we're going to smash them. We had a bit of bad luck. We just
I always said that game was going to be dicey because of Poch, but this is different. I really, really want to see a performance. I do, but I just want to see a result first and foremost.
Yeah, this Man United team, if you get their heads down, they're done. In my opinion, they won't come back. They can't come back, because the way they'd have to play to come back against us would suit us. So Sean is absolutely right. You score first and you score early against Man United, it could be a big score. Could be a big score.
Yep.
Okay, Daniel. What I say?
Sorry for adding half an hour onto that show, but I was enjoying watching you guys.
Too often we play the history, not the team at Old Trafford. This is very true. We do the same thing against Chelsea. 100% do that against Chelsea.
100%. Look at that squad. Yeah, just look at the squad.
Yeah, we do that.
And the flipping stadium is falling apart anyway. It ain't even the same Old Trafford as it was.
They're in. There's 3 teams, in my opinion, whether you agree with it or not, that are in, I think, a bit of a crisis moment. Man United, I would say Chelsea, even though they're winning at the moment, they're still in, because they need to get top 4, top 5, or Champions League football to sustain those finances that they're under. And they don't get it this season, which is very unlikely. It's going to be a problem. So I think they're still thinking about what's going to happen to them. And Arsenal, no matter what anybody tells me,
you know what?
Arsenal are in a proper crisis.
You think they're in crisis?
Crisis. It's whether
Okay,
or
I think they're entering crisis. I don't actually think Chelsea. I think Chelsea. It's hard. I think Newcastle are in a bigger crisis than Chelsea. If you look internally, I think Newcastle are in a.
Okay, what were your expectations of Newcastle beginning of the season? Realistically,
Do you want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Top 4, and I didn't think they were going to get that hard of a group in the Champions League. So I did think they were going to go through because they got Tonali. They had a decent team. I thought they were going to get top 4, and this was me. No, sorry. Let me not lie. I didn't think they were going to get top 4. I thought they were going to get 4th or 5th. I thought they were going to battle because I thought if it came to it and they were in the knockouts, then maybe they might, prioritize that Champions League for that glory. But now it seems like injuries have just completely, and obviously other factors and matters that have happened outside of off the pitch have sort of curtailed that. So Newcastle are in a crisis. Chelsea, again, it's bad, but like, I don't know, man. Chelsea are bad, but like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to save my prediction of Chelsea getting in the top 4. I think Chelsea have got enough players to come good. And even if they have to sell, their players hold value. So I think they can sell players and just continue buying until they get it right, if you know what I mean.
Had Newcastle significantly gone out and really spent and bought in some real key players, I would have said. But I knew that you're playing Champions League football, the pressure of the following season on them, the fact that everybody else was going to get better, the fact that they had Dan Burns playing out of his skin at right or left back, whichever he played, is never sustainable. Not going to be sustainable. Joe Linton, midfielder, not sustainable. Matty and Shaw Longstaff, not sustainable over a long time. Tonali, he's got his issues. Up front, Isak, whatever you want to call him.
Baller.
That was a player I was like scared of all shit. But again, he's a bit hit or miss because they're still trying to get in.
He's had a good season,
yeah, he's had a good season, but he's not scoring like how he's not in the top 5 scorers. He's not up there with Son. So, you know what I mean? Solanke's got more goals than Isak, so he ain't that great. So this is what I'm saying. It's always going to be.
He's got 9 though. He's got 9 to be fair. He's 7th. He's 7th on the list.
Fair.
So,
but 7 is it 9 goals? You said.
Yeah,
9 goals in 20
Salah,
games.
Solanke, Son, Bowen, and Hwang. They're the only players ahead of him.
Hwang.
Yeah.
There you go.
But he's having a great
ahead
season.
of him.
He's having a great season. That's the thing, though.
But this is the point I'm trying to make. Players can have great seasons.
Exactly.
As did Dan Burns, as did Joe Linton,
Fair.
as the Longstaffs did. They're not at that level to maintain that for Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, and League campaign. It was never going to happen. They had to choose one or the other. It looks like they're going to choose nothing at this moment in time because they ain't going to be top 4. And that's what I'm saying about Chelsea as well. Their whole thing's built on top 4. They have to be in that.
No, they really do need to. Yeah, I hear that.
So this is why we got a chance. Chelsea are just about winning games like United for a while.
Fair.
FFP is hampering Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United. That's the point.
That's true. And you know what? You thought you could just keep spending and spending and spending. And you wonder why Arteta's come out and said this about not being able to just go and buy a striker. Because you spent £265 bloody million in the summer. And you barely sold anyone. Who did they sell?
Oh, they got rid of Xhaka. I don't know if they got
pittance, though. It was like 30 mil on it, if that.
It was pittance. Anyway, let's not talk too much about Arsenal because they're in their own mind. They're in their own mind. All right, final thoughts then.
Focus is fully on Manchester United. I know we're looking at the halftime, really, really quick halftime. I'm happy where we are. I was a little bit angry, when we sort of were in the position that we were after like the Chelsea game, sort of November, early December. I was a little bit like, okay, maybe this is looking a little bit rough. But when I actually step back and think about it and look at it, we've kept pace with barely any meat on our bones. So as I'm seeing, positive news about transfers and positive news about players returning, I remember what I kept saying to my rival fans, should I say? I said, wait until we get our players back. Wait until we get our players back. And now they're slowly coming back. Bentancur had a bit of a miracle. Maddison will be back hopefully by the end of the month. Van der Ven on the bench against was it Burnley? Yeah. So I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. And Man United, we have to just get the win. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree. I did my halftime report as I said, I think we should be in that top 5 come the end of the season. It's whether or not we can maintain a close connection to that top 4 above us whilst our players are away and whilst we get players back. And if we can be in with the same sort of, 5-6 points come end of February, if we go by our first 10 games, look how we did. If you get last 10 games on that sort of trajectory and you're only 6 points behind, who knows? Because other teams are going to have Champions League, Europa League, potentially FA Cup in there, whatever it is. So that's my thoughts. We should be in the top 5 and we should go for the bloody FA Cup now that we've got through, even if it means throwing everything at Manchester City in that game. Because they're not going to play their strongest team, but they will play a strong team. If that makes sense.
I just want to say one more thing that I forgot, which you just sort of brought up. I really, especially shout out to Jews and Sean, and that's the people that I notice the most, sort of saying, let's really look at potentially going for this title. I will say this: if we are in and around where we are right now, and we enter that April, that sort of stretch of 4 games against Newcastle, Arsenal, I think Liverpool as well, and I can't remember who the other one is. If we get to April and we're in the position that we're in, I'll start dreaming. I will really jump on the let's go for it. We can win the league. Because you just need confidence to get through that. And then it's like, okay, cool. Now you just have to win games. And I think we've proven at the start of the season, like you said, we can win games. We went 10 games unbeaten. So, yeah. Great point there, Sam. That's all else I'm going to say.
Nice one. Thank you all for your contributions in the chat. We had Juice Nuts in there. Obviously, Sean Hull couldn't make it, but he's there doing his bit in the chat as always. Who else was in there for us? Level Earth, not see you before, but welcome to the stream. David Clark, as always, Jay Ashraf, Eddie Ryan, and a few others in there. Sid, thank you for being on here, although you had to go early. Darius, thank you for your late appearance, and thank you for your contribution.
My pleasure.
I guess we have got the preview show for the Man United game coming up this week. I think it's probably going to be Thursday or Friday. The game is on Sunday. And yeah, 3 points, or at least make sure we don't lose our gut. Imagine this. We'll be clowned if we lose to Man United. Don't care they're at home. I just don't want that clowning because they're terrible. Come on, you Spurs, is what Jesus is saying. Come on, you Spurs is definitely what we're doing. Thanks very much, Darius. Thank you, as I said, to Sid. And I think that is about it. Find the music to go out. The drum and bass that Sid created on the thank you final thing that he's got is great. Okay, come on, you Spurs. And we'll see you on PRTv sometime this week, Thursday, Friday, for the preview show for Man United game that we play on Sunday. That's it.
More developed,